Imagine walking into your kitchen right now and looking at that beautiful dark glass bottle of extra virgin olive oil sitting on your counter. You probably bought it because you care about your health, you love the taste of a good Mediterranean dish, and you were willing to pay a premium for that liquid gold label. But here's the cold, hard truth that most of us are never told. There is a very high chance that the oil you've been drizzling over your salads for years isn't actually real olive oil, at least not the kind you think you're paying for. In fact, if you're living in the United States, you are essentially at the center of one of the largest, most profitable, and most sophisticated food fraud operations in human history. We are talking about an industry where organized crime groups, often referred to as the agro-mafia, make more money selling fake olive oil than they do selling illegal drugs. And they've been doing it right under our noses for decades. This isn't just about a slightly lower quality product, it's about a fundamental betrayal of trust that affects your wallet and, more importantly, your health. You see, real extra virgin olive oil is packed with polyphenols and antioxidants that fight inflammation and protect your heart. But when that oil is cut with cheap sunflower oil, dyed with industrial-grade chlorophyll to look green, or is actually lam ponte oil, which is a grade of oil literally intended for burning in lamps, not for human consumption, those health benefits vanish. If you've ever felt like your olive oil tasted a bit greasy, or if it didn't have that signature peppery kick at the back of your throat, you weren't just imagining it. You were likely tasting the result of a massive global cover-up. Before we dive deep into how you can protect yourself and spot the fakes, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can stay informed about what's actually going into your body. To understand why this is happening right now, we have to look at the olive oil crisis of 2024 and 2025. Over the last couple of years, extreme weather, droughts in Spain, and a devastating bacterial disease called Xylella fastidiosa have decimated olive groves across Europe. This caused the price of authentic olive oil to skyrocket, in some cases doubling or even tripling. And whenever the price of a luxury commodity goes up, the incentive for criminals to cheat goes through the roof. In the first 3 months of 2024 alone, the European Union saw a record-breaking number of fraud alerts, more than triple what they saw just a few years prior. We're talking about 50 major cross-border fraud notifications in a single quarter. Authorities have been raiding warehouses and seizing hundreds of thousands of liters of oil that were being passed off as premium Italian, extra virgin, but were actually mixtures of low-grade seed oils and chemical colorants. First, we need to clarify what we actually mean by fake olive oil, because the fraud usually falls into 3 distinct categories. The most common form of deception is grade inflation. This is when a producer takes low-quality, refined olive oil or even virgin olive oil, which has higher acidity and flavor defects, and slaps an extra virgin label on it. They know that most American consumers can't tell the difference by taste alone, so they charge you $20 for a bottle that should cost $5. A 2024 study by the National Consumers League found that over half of the extra virgin bottles they tested from major U.S. retailers failed to meet the standards for that grade. They were either mislabeled from the start or had degraded so much during shipping and storage that they were no longer extra anything. Second, there is origin fraud, which is a classic shell game played by major international brands. You've probably seen bottles that say "packed in Italy" or feature a big Italian flag on the front. However, if you look at the tiny fine print on the back, you'll often see a string of country codes like TNGRESTR. That means the olives were grown in Tunisia, Greece, Spain, and Turkey, shipped in massive tankers to a facility in Italy, and then bottled there just so they could claim that Italian prestige. While those oils might technically be olive oil, they are often a frankenblend of different harvests, varietals, and ages, resulting in a product that is chemically unstable and lacks the soul of a true single-origin oil. Third, and perhaps most disturbing, is adulteration. This is the realm of the agro-mafia. This is when the bottle doesn't contain olive oil at all, or only a tiny fraction of it. Criminal organizations have been caught mixing cheap soybean oil, canola oil, or sunflower oil with beta-carotene for color and chlorophyll for that fresh green look. In some of the most famous cases, like the Piero Mali clan investigation in Italy, they were exporting thousands of tons of this adulterated oil, specifically to the United States. Why? Because the U.S. is the dumping ground for fraudulent oil. Our FDA is so overwhelmed with other food safety issues that they rarely have the resources to chemically test every shipment of olive oil coming into our ports. They essentially rely on a trust but don't verify system, and the fraudsters know it. I know this sounds incredibly discouraging, but the reason I'm making this video is that once you know the tricks of the trade, you actually have all the power. You don't have to be a victim of this liquid gold scam. In the next part of this script, we're going to break down the specific red flags you should look for when you're standing in the grocery store aisle. We'll talk about why that clear glass bottle is your worst enemy, why the best buy date is often a lie, and the one specific label you should always look for if you want to be 100% sure you're getting the real deal. If you're finding this helpful so far, please share this video with a friend who loves to cook. We need to get the word out so people stop wasting their money on industrial seed oils disguised as health food. Transitioning from the global scandal to your local grocery store shelf is where things get personal. It's one thing to hear about a mafia bust in Tuscany. It's another to realize that the bottle you used for your family dinner last night might have been part of that very same supply chain. The reality is that the olive oil industry is a multi-billion-dollar business, and the profit margins for fake oil are higher than almost any other food product. For a criminal organization, turning $1 worth of sunflower oil into $20 worth of extra virgin olive oil is a better return than selling heroin with a fraction of the legal risk. But there are ways to spot these ghost oils. Now that we've looked at the shadowy world of the agro-mafia and the massive scale of international food fraud, you're probably wondering how you can actually tell the difference between a bottle of authentic, heart-healthy oil and a chemical cocktail designed to look like the real thing. This is where we move from the global scandal into your local grocery store aisle, because the truth is hidden right there in plain sight on the labels. The first thing you have to understand is that the term extra virgin has been systematically devalued. In a perfect world, that label would mean the oil was extracted solely by mechanical means. No heat, no chemicals, and met strict chemical and sensory standards. But in reality, it's often used as a marketing buzzword rather than a legal guarantee. First, let's talk about the look of the bottle. If you see olive oil in a clear plastic or clear glass bottle sitting under the bright fluorescent lights of a supermarket, put it back immediately. Light and heat are the two greatest enemies of olive oil. They trigger a process called photooxidation, which turns those healthy polyphenols into rancid fats. A producer who truly cares about the quality of their oil will always package it in dark green or amber glass, or even better, in a tin. If a brand is showing off the beautiful golden color through clear glass, they are prioritizing marketing over the integrity of the product. By the time that clear bottle has traveled from Europe, sat in a shipping container, and lingered on a retail shelf for 3 months, it's almost guaranteed to be oxidized and stripped of its health benefits, regardless of how pure it was when it started. Second, you need to look for a harvest date, not just a best buy date. This is one of the biggest secrets of the industry. Olive oil is essentially a fresh fruit juice. It doesn't age like wine. It is at its peak the moment it is pressed, and it begins to degrade immediately. Most mass-market brands will only give you a best buy date, which is usually set 2 years from the date of bottling, not the date of the harvest. A bottle could sit in a giant stainless steel tank for 3 years, be bottled in 2025, and have a best buy date of 2027, even though the oil itself is already 4 or 5 years old and practically dead. Real, high-quality producers will proudly stamp the specific month and year the olives were harvested on the bottle. If you can't find a harvest date, you are essentially buying a mystery product. While we're talking about labels, let's talk about those fancy gold medals and Product of Italy stickers. As we touched on earlier, Product of Italy often just means it was bottled there. What you really want to look for are third-party certifications. These are the trust but verify seals that fraudsters find much harder to fake. Look for the CUOC Certified Extra Virgin seal if you're buying California oil. The California Olive Oil Council has some of the strictest standards in the world. If you're buying European oil, look for the DOP or PDO, Protected Designation of Origin, seals. These certifications require the oil to be produced, processed, and prepared in a specific geographical area using recognized methods. It's not a 100% guarantee, but it's a massive hurdle for the agro-mafia to clear. If you find these tips helpful for your next shopping trip, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into what's really in your food. Third, we have to address the fridge test myth. You might have heard that if you put olive oil in the fridge and it solidifies, it's real, and if it stays liquid, it's fake. I hate to break it to you, but this is completely unreliable. While olive oil contains monounsaturated fats that do thicken in the cold, many seed oils can be refined to behave similarly, and some genuine high-quality olive oils with specific wax contents might stay liquid longer than others. Relying on the fridge test is like trying to check if a $100 bill is real by seeing if it fits in your wallet. It doesn't tell you anything about the chemical purity or the presence of hidden additives. Instead of the fridge test, you need to use your own biological sensors, your nose and your throat. This is where the sensory experience comes in. Real extra virgin olive oil should never taste greasy or heavy. When you taste it straight from a spoon, it should smell like fresh-cut grass, green tomatoes, or even artichokes. It should feel clean on the tongue. But the real smoking gun of authentic olive oil is a peppery sting at the back of your throat that might even make you cough. That sensation is caused by a compound called oleocanthal, a powerful natural anti-inflammatory. If your oil is smooth, buttery, and has no kick, it's either extremely old, highly refined, or it's not olive oil at all. Professional tasters actually rank oils by how many coughs they induce. A 3-cuff oil is considered top-tier gold. Fourth, let's talk about the price point. We all love a good deal, but olive oil is one area where you absolutely get what you pay for. Think about the logistics: growing the trees, hand-picking or mechanically shaking the olives, rushing them to a mill within hours, pressing them without heat, and shipping them across an ocean. If you see a Onaliter bottle of extra virgin Italian olive oil for $7.99, the math simply doesn't add up. It is physically impossible to produce and ship authentic oil at that price. When you buy the budget option, you aren't saving money. You are paying a premium for low-grade vegetable oil that has been chemically deodorized to remove the smell of rot. This brings us to a really important point about the smoke point. Many people believe you can't cook with olive oil because it has a low smoke point. This is another misconception fueled by the prevalence of fake oils. High-quality, authentic extra virgin olive oil is actually very stable under heat because it's loaded with antioxidants that protect the fats from breaking down. It's the fake or low-quality oils, the ones cut with seed oils or filled with impurities, that smoke and burn quickly. If you've had a bad experience frying with olive oil, it's likely because the oil you were using wasn't what it claimed to be. We've covered a lot of ground on how to spot a fake at the store. But what happens when the fraud is so good that even the labels look perfect? So how do we fight back? We've looked at the scams and we've looked at the labels, but now we're entering the front lines of food science. As we move into 2026, the technology being used to catch these fraudsters is starting to look like something out of a sci-fi movie. We are talking about DNA barcoding for olives. Scientists are now able to extract tiny fragments of DNA from a bottle of oil and compare it to a global database of olive cultivars. This means they can tell, with scientific certainty, if a bottle labeled 100% Sicilian Nocellara actually contains cheap Greek Koroneiki olives, or even worse, traces of sunflower and canola oil. Some high-end producers are even starting to use blockchain technology. You scan a QR code on the back of the bottle, and it shows you the exact grove the olives came from, the day they were pressed, and the chemical lab results for that specific batch. This level of transparency is the future, and it's the only way we're going to finally drive the agro-mafia out of our kitchens. But you don't need a lab in your house to make the right choice today. I promised you a safe list. And based on the latest independent testing from 2024 and 2025, there are a few brands that consistently prove they are the real deal. First on that list, and this might surprise you, is Costco's Kirkland Signature Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. It has repeatedly passed rigorous purity tests conducted by groups like the UC Davis Olive Center. It's one of the best values on the market because it's a genuine, high-quality oil sold at a fraction of the price of boutique brands. Their 100% Italian version is also highly rated and even has the Bureau Veritas certification right on the bottle. Second, look for California Olive Ranch. They were pioneers in bringing transparency to the U.S. market. Just a heads up, though. They have two main lines. Their 100% California oil is their premium product, sourced entirely from local groves. They also have a global blend, which is still high quality and verified, but it's a mix of oils from California and partner regions like Argentina and Portugal. Both are excellent. But if you want the freshest possible domestic product, go for the 100% California bottle. Third, for those of you who want something a bit more modern, brands like Graza have been making waves. Their sizzle and drizzle oils come in opaque squeeze bottles that protect the oil from light and make it incredibly easy to use while cooking. They use single-origin Picual olives from Spain, and the quality is consistently top tier. If you're looking for a gift or a truly therapeutic oil, you can look into artisanal brands like Brightland, Lucini, or Paisanol. These are often early harvest oils, meaning the olives are picked while they are still green. This results in a lower yield for the farmer, but a much higher concentration of those peppery, health-boosting polyphenols we talked about. Before we wrap up, if you've found a brand that you absolutely love and trust, drop the name in the comments. Let's help each other build a directory of the real liquid gold. And if you haven't already, please share this video. It's the best way to help independent creators and keep this kind of investigative content going. Finally, I want to give you 3 golden rules for when you get that real bottle home. First, treat it like milk, not like vinegar. Olive oil starts dying the moment it's opened. Don't save your good oil for a special occasion. Use it liberally and use it fast. You should aim to finish a bottle within 30 to 60 days of opening it. Second, never store your oil next to the stove. I know it's convenient, but the heat from your oven will turn a $40 bottle of premium oil into a rancid mess in a matter of weeks. Keep it in a cool, dark pantry. Third, buy the right size for your needs. If you live alone, don't buy the massive 3-liter tin just because it's a better deal. By the time you get to the bottom, the oil will have oxidized. Buy smaller bottles more frequently to ensure you're always getting that fresh, peppery kick. The olive oil scandal is a reminder that in our modern food system, we have to be our own advocates. We can't always rely on government agencies or big-name marketing to protect us. But when we choose to buy from transparent producers and learn how to trust our own senses, we aren't just buying a cooking ingredient. We're investing in our long-term health and supporting the honest farmers who are keeping this ancient tradition alive. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this deep dive, check out my other video on the secrets of the honey industry. It's just as wild as this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.